Hello, 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 and welcome back. Here is another conversation with Kevin. And I want to say, I am so grateful to this man. I cannot tell you. This man helps me come back online and expand into the multiple dimensional being that I am, that you are, that he is, that we all are, right? So we basically came online. I had really bad period pain, and I was starting to think, oh, I need to be like this, like this, like this. And then we both talk about neurospicy, multidimensional, past lives. You know, we've both had diagnosis of bipolar, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, geez, Kevin, I don't have to mask with you because you get it. And he's like, yeah. We talked about stimming. And I was like lying there, just rubbing my belly. And he basically, through the conversation, I'm like, geez, I just feel better now because I can be all of me. So I'm just going to catch you back up because we should have been recording the conversation, right? We've basically been talking about food and why we change what we eat. Now, to summarize, milk. What do you think about milk, people? Years ago, I was having a really challenge because I studied massage therapy and I was trumping a lot, okay? And everyone was like, it's because you're vegetarian. No, actually, when I had the food allergy test, I discovered I was lactose intolerant. So I stopped eating meat. Funnily enough, all that went away. But what else did I discover? On this test, I found out that I was allergic to E150, which is caramel colouring, which is in quite a lot of stuff, Coke and gravy, browning, all that stuff. And I was also allergic to cod and wheat. And I have already discovered by this point, Kevin's on his head, right? No wheat, no dairy, no wheat, no meat, no dairy used to be my saying, right? But why do I still have meat? We'll come to this in a minute. So we basically, I was recounting the story to Kevin that when I was a child, we would go to a fish and chip shop in Wales, like religiously in Newquay, Wales, because we went there on holiday all the time, like throughout the year. And I would always want chicken and chips, not cod and chips. Duh, because as a child, I intuitively knew don't be eating the cod. And then lo and behold, in my late 20s or early 30s, can't remember when it was, I'm allergic to cod and the milk. So I cut out the milk. And I didn't want my mum's gravy, and she used a gravy that had the E150 in. Funnily enough, don't want to eat Coca-Cola because it had E150 in, blah, blah, blah. So the point is, we are often intuitive, but we're often mocked. So my mum used to say, you're so awkward. And it's like, no, I was listening to my heart and soul going, not for me, right? Mm-hmm. So we're just talking about milk. And I just dropped this bomb on Kevin. So 10 years ago, when I had shaved my dreads and I was really in a very, I was really in an old state again. I was really talking to spirit all the time and I was getting all these downloads of information. And basically, I was like, why did everyone drink milk? Like, what is the fucking obsession with milk, myself included? Like milky, creamy goodness. Like, even though I know I'm allergic to milk and I kind of can get asphyxiated if I have too much, and it means that I can't breathe all the time. Why do I still crave it? And the answer came like a flash of light: because we did not get weaned properly. Okay, my mum breastfed me, your mum breastfed you, yeah? But that transition, if we didn't have enough, because what is mother's milk? It's love. It comes from our heart chakra, okay? So just really felt like I wanted to share that with you guys. And the next thing I was sharing to Kevin was Diana Cooper talks about cows in her book. It was one of the books on Atlantis. And she was saying that in Atlantis, all of the families would have a cow and you would drink the milk, and it was holy. It was really high vibrational energy, and we didn't need it, but it was good for us because it was bringing mother's love, which is why in India still the holy cow is a holy cow. Anyway, so we just were talking about food and how it affects. So tell the viewers, and tell me again, what was your realization for me, Kevin? Right?
Oh my God. Yeah. And I want to go back to the milk topic
Go,
because,
go. Yeah, go
that's
for it.
huge. So I'm just going to go ahead and say it. First of all, this realization about the connection between milk and the spirituality. I used to own two infant cares and preschools, and there was not a single day where we didn't have conversations with our director and new mommies, like who were learning about the magic of breastfeeding and how often they should do it. Should they pump? Like, should they freeze it? Can they use someone else's milk? It's such a huge topic. But in my own experience, I learned a lot of people, a lot of mummies, unfortunately, are not taught properly. If you look at our education system about
Right.
the importance of breastfeeding, in fact, there's a lot of stigma around mommies who breastfeed more than the average, right?
Right. Yeah.
But
And for longer than average as well. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
in
Yeah.
my experience, my mom explained to me many times that like I wanted milk as a child, but she was told, to put a band-aid on her nipple and put iodine. And apparently, I freaked out because here is, imagine, think of it from an infant's perspective. Here's my source of nurture and love. And then one day, all of a sudden, it tastes like iodine, it's red, and it's not there. So when I lost it, my mom was then coached to pump her milk, breast milk, and throw it in front of me, throw it out. So my mom like would tell me like when I would do that, I would like show you here's the milk, but I'm putting it in the plant, right? And I would freak out. Is there not trauma, no trauma there, right?
Oh
Like like
my
like
God.
imagine like as a child I'm going, why is that not accessible to me? Am I a bad child? Because that can impact like if a child,
Everything.
right,
Everything.
it has
I'm
to do.
bad. I'm not allowed love.
Freudian Jungian psychology all confirm the importance of those connections early on and neurodevelopment, right?
Yeah.
And therefore, if you need that nurturing and you're cut off of it, whether it's touch, it's food, it can create issues and therefore dependency of generations to cow milk, which is not pasteurized, right?
Mm.
Um, no, which is pasteurized and processed,
Yeah.
but it explains everything. I mean, you're
Explains it.
talking about a multi-billion-dollar industry that's
Sure.
created around this connection of the divine mother and the
Sure.
child.
Sure.
This is why we can't deny there is a spiritual war going on. And while you may have to eat meat in order to come to the 3D realm and function, right? Because you mentioned like you always like I have to consume some milk because or meat rather because when you're in relationship with your partners. I was also vegan for 4 years, but when I got married, I'm like, no, I need to have milk and protein just so I can function with my partner, socialize, not have to explain myself. But there is nothing innately, ethically, in my opinion, wrong with eating milk, eggs, dairy, or anything if that's what your body needs. But we gravitate towards those types of diets depending on the level we need to function at, right? So maybe you go vegetarian for a while, but if you're here on this realm sharing your amazing book, right? Which to me is way ahead of its time, talking about misdiagnosis and spirituality and the connection between the two. We can't talk about spirituality and being human without the diet part.
It's
So
so
thank
true.
you for that. Yeah,
It's so true. And that's why we wanted to do this because we were just talking away. We were going to do our usual coach swap session and do some work.
yeah,
And it was like, oh my God, we really need to share this. And what happens when I talk with
yeah,
Kevin is because he is interested in multidimensionality, seeing patterns, he is okay calling himself neurospicy and exploring what that actually means. Okay, and I'm currently, channeling a book with Ben Zachary Shaw about it to say, for me, I always knew I was an old soul, but nobody wanted, that's not cool. And then you meet other people like, oh my God, it's normal. Okay, yeah, because I've seen my other lives and I not all of them. Hey, I'd be crazy, but I've seen a lot of them. And, we were basically talking about this fluctuation. So I actually worked in a vegetarian cafe when I was in university. And I was like, oh my God, of course. Yeah, as soon as I read my yoga book, it was like, it activated me, the yogi life. And I started having dreads and all of this. And people are like, oh, you're Rasta. And it's like, no, no, no. Like, it didn't come from my, yeah, I love reggae. Like, I still love reggae, but it didn't come from that. It didn't come from hippies. It came from something so deep. It was like, I knew. I'd already stopped cutting my hair at 13, 14, and I was just growing it, growing it. I don't like having my hair cut. And people say, oh, it's an autistic thing. What does that actually fucking mean? Sorry. Because to me, autism is old soul stuff. It's because don't you touch my hair just for the sake of it. And, you know, you're cutting me there. You're cutting a part of the extension of my energy field. Careful, guys, right? So when I was in the veggie restaurant, you know, working, it just, something in me clicked. I lived with a veggie girl, my best friend Rosie in university, and it just became norm. But what Kevin was saying is I would fluctuate with my diet with depending on who I am, because I had so much growing up, like, oh, you're so awkward, oh, yeah, da, 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 da. So I would mask, you know, play the game, fit in, you know, and alter my frequency. Or, you know, I swore I'd never take cocaine. And then I went out with a guy, and his mum and him would sit down at Christmas dinner and have fucking cocaine. And I ended up taking cocaine. And I tell you, that was a big lesson for me. Judge not, for you shall so be judged, because that's how karma works. You know, if you're going to judge something, you might embody doing the very thing you're judging. And it's the same with meat. You know, I'd start eating meat and then I'd go single again and I'd be like, hang on, I don't eat meat. Like, I don't even believe we need to eat. You know, there is a part of me very strongly that has that belief we will become lighter and lighter and eat less and less. That was the type of thing I was saying when I got Section, and now I've read it, loads of people, and you know, you have breatharians and all of the stuff. It's not sustainable for most of us, though. That I do absolutely understand that. So you're absolutely right, Kevin. And recently I have craved to eat meat. So I have.
Yes.
I bought like a pack of ham and I just wolfed this pack of ham down. Not the best meat in the
And
world, but it's very grounding. And you know, Kevin, the other thing that because I'm skipping you up, right, viewers, of our conversation and giving you the condensed version. But I have asked you know, about food over the years. And I always know, like herbs have wisdom, so does food. You know, why do I want a carrot? Not because it's good, just good for the eyes, but it's grounding, right? I eat, like, at certain times I want chips. Just before I'm having my period, for example, I always want potatoes. If I've been dancing a lot, I always want chips or roast potatoes because it's so grounding, because they're from the earth. It's getting me out of this realm back down, right? Of course, if you do the grounding meditation, that grounds you, but actually it's just another medicine, isn't it? So with meat, what I also would do years ago is channel in, well, why would I eat chicken? Why would I eat meat? Why would different people be drawn to different meat? So if you think a lot of men want beef because it's macho energy, it's big energy, I want to be strong. What is chicken? Chicken is kind of softer, it's like more energy. I think I read years ago that chicken is to do with emotions, right? What do pigs do? If I eat pork, it's because you're getting down and they snuffle around, you know, they kind of get stuck into the earth. So, you know, everything we eat, would be it a banana, a chicken, an egg, or whatever, it's got a vibration and it's kind of calling us as much as we might be calling it. Because I've had
yes,
guilt, to be honest, Kevin. You said, you know, you don't see there's something morally wrong. I have had really a lot of guilt about consuming, and I actually had this little whisper from spirit, if you will, saying, don't you think some plants or beings or divas would want to be part of your journey to help you on your
yeah,
journey? And I had never thought about it like that. So think of like the
yeah,
banana, like I tend to eat a banana every day in a smoothie. I have like certain things in my smoothie every day, and it's habitual because I feel it's healthy. But I haven't actually asked the banana, is it okay, you know, if I'm eating you? But like,
yeah.
if it's a vibrational match, it's going to feel good, isn't it? And, you know, I used to eat a lot of apples. I don't know, I haven't told you this, Kevin, but around that time, I was eating apples all day and then having a meal in the evening. And when I went to do ayahuasca, the shaman said to me, oh, you're really sensitive. You need to clean your diet, keep it clean. You know, any uppers you're gonna struggle with because your energy is so high. And I'd already not realized, like, dark coffee, dark chocolate, coffee, anything upper, no, it's not for me. I need like the downer energy. And he said,
Mhm.
you need to eat apples. And it's like, I already was eating apples because they clear the third eye, right?
Yeah, I ate apples for I think 4 months straight for breakfast, lunch, and dinner when I was in
Right,
college. I lost 50 pounds and I got so weak. I
right.
almost had to drop out of college. And
Whoa,
um,
okay.
so
But it's a
and so
cleanse, though. Something in you.
I don't know
Yeah.
what there is always a spiritual explanation. The
Exactly.
important thing is to not buy into this idea that because you think differently from bottom up, like asking those questions, what is a chicken, what is a pig, what is it, right, what is the source and why, the neurotypical don't ask, right? To them there's no sense of novelty, right? So it's just
Sure.
meat. But
Yeah.
because you approach it from a more conscious, right, especially being female and more connected to the divine in differently than a man, you notice these things, right? It doesn't make you wrong. It doesn't, and that intensity of emotion that has to do with that energy, right, is so real because we are multidimensional beings having a physical experience. This body is nothing but accumulation of food, right? That's gathered around this energy body. We are of Earth. We go back to Earth. All of our cells renew every 7 years, right? So maybe you need uh meat right now because your body needs to function on a different level, on a lower vibration, right? Or on a vibration without judgment that is more practical to you. And
Mm.
once you're done with that phase, you'll switch, right?
Yeah.
I remember
Yeah.
I was also on a milk and cereal diet for
Oh, sorry about that. Glitch. Go
okay.
on. Go on.
So yeah, and
Yeah. There's
so
phases.
there is
That's
a
the point.
reason.
There is a
There is a
reason.
reason.
I
There is a
really hear
reason.
you.
Not denying yourself what
Yeah.
your body is craving, what not. But when you go deny an infant who may be needing mom's milk, right? Replacing it with formulas that if you go look, number one ingredient in the US, high fructose corn syrup. Please go on Amazon, go look at the popular brands, a small
Oh,
like
you're
can of formula right
joking.
now. It's all processed crap.
Sugar. It's sugar
This
to
is
get
what,
you addicted earlier on in life, isn't it? But
and we
this,
wonder
oh my God.
why humanity is struggling. Why is humanity not able to rise above this notion of survival, this
Sure.
bullshit that is
I
duality,
get
creation
you.
of the mind, and has nothing to do with the divine. And that's why your work there is so important. Your
Oh,
book,
well, you too. You too. Because that's the
this
thing, isn't it?
conversation,
Like these conversations, that's why I was like, we need to share this with people. Because when
yeah.
I talk to Kevin, I feel welcomed to expand into that kind of part of me that channels things, that sees stuff, that intuits, that asks questions. Whereas a lot of my life, people are like, you're so awkward. Who do you think you are? You're so weird. Why? And I've, there's been times in my life that I've been suicidal on and off because it's just like there's no point me being here. I used to say, actually, when I was being sectioned, I used to say, do you know what, I'll come back in a few hundred years when they've caught up.
Yeah, and
Because
yeah,
it,
yeah,
it was just like, I can't believe it's like I'm talking and it's just like a cobweb of, oh, you're just digging yourself into more of a hole, more of a hole, more of a hole. And the
yeah.
thing is, you were saying about, maybe I need to eat this. How I see it is slightly different, is that if we look at our mind, if we look at our auric complex, okay, and think of, say you had 100 type different traumas, like big T, small t. Whenever we have that, a part of us will get stuck. If arguing the toss, right? If something happens that you have an effect and you struggle with integrating it, let's just say a part of our body energy field would be stuck until you then start processing the thing, right? And to
Mhm.
me, that energy has a consciousness. So it's a finite, you know, um, aspect of yourself. So if I had a trauma at 12, then that part of me is going to have everything that I want at that age. So at that age, I'm used to eating meat. I'm used to eating chocolate. Chocolate at that age would have been like the treat, like, Easter egg, Christmas, chocolate. We didn't have a lot of chocolate, but Saturday morning we might go to the shops and get like a tiny little bar of chocolate or something. There was a treat. And in my world, because I found earth life and my inner world just all a bit overwhelming, or just I didn't feel at home, yeah, the chocolate is your fucking addiction. It's the beginning of like, this is my comfort for the moment. So I know that if I'm struggling with something, I'll reach for the chocolate. As soon as you heal it, you're back into and I remember saying to somebody in Portugal, she said, "Do you want chocolate?" But it was at 11 o'clock at night and it was dark chocolate. And I was like, "No, I don't like chocolate. I don't eat chocolate." And she looked at me and I looked at her and I was like, "Fucking hell, what a load of shit. Of course I eat chocolate." But some part of me, my higher self, knows chocolate at 11 o'clock at night, hell to the hell no. Definitely not dark chocolate. So, and I wish that I didn't even eat the dairy chocolate that I do, but I eat dairy chocolate because it's better for me energetically than having very dark chocolate, because that's like speed for me. It's just insane, and that's why I don't have it much and I don't have coffee. So for me, like if I'm eating meat, like, and I'm craving something, it's because something in me is like, I'm really agitated or something, and it's like, yeah, there might be something out of whack, and physiologically, someone would argue, yeah, you need this, blah blah blah. There's something that I need, but why? If I come back to what my original download was years ago about not needing to eat, when we're in full alignment, we're not stressing. So if you have good boundaries, you're speaking your truth, your chakras in alignment, you're in your ascension state, you're walking your truth, you're living your truth. Why are you stressing? You're not stressing. So think of Louise Hay's work, you know this. So what I was shown is, when the reason why yogis and things, and I'm not saying I'm there by any means, but I can understand it on a kind of visual understanding. When you're in full alignment, nothing degrades in your body, because
Yeah.
we create the body, not the body creates us. Yeah, we're the ghost in the machine, not the machine, and the machine is is a interactive interface of our our essence on the earth. We are enlivening it, and we can, with our conscious intention, be sustaining a divine blueprint. Like, this is why if you have people who see angels, like I don't always see them but I have seen them, they will always appear in this perfect form because they are of light, they're in a purified state of being. So what we're going through in Ascension at the moment is from going from this very low state which can't sustain itself. Think of a few hundred years ago, people maybe only live until 50 or something. It was just heavy, dark, we're and around that time I also had the things, we can live for thousands of years. I mean, I know we're eternal beings as a soul, unless your soul really gets destroyed, or you merge into oneness again. But like, actually on the human, we will be able to live for hundreds and if not thousands of years at some point again, because we have mastered like not losing our how can I say, our blueprint, our full well-being. And people talk about in delta healing, I think it's called, if you heal the telomeres at the end of the DNA, it does not degenerate, so it can always replicate itself perfectly, and it's stress that degenerates DNA, which then degenerates the cell reproduction. So it's not, I didn't have enough food, it's if you're stressed, you're going to age. If you're happy, look at the dancers, look at hippies that go to festivals until they're 80. They're just like shiny, like you said, because we're vibrant, because the life force in us is enlivening our body, not because we've consumed. We're like chronically, people overconsume. When I'm stressed, I eat a lot. When I'm not, I don't. It's that simple, isn't it? So, oh my
Yeah.
God, thanks, Kevin. It's lovely to speak this freedom because I hold it in.
Of course. And thank you for being more sensitive. Thank you, because if you had chosen not to reincarnate at this critical time, right? Where humanity is about to lose their mind because of AI. If that's sensitivity that you have anchors these realizations for the collective. like how important it is for us to understand the connection between like the industrious like milk production multi-billion dollar and the divine connection between a mother and child that's always under threat. That's always like you don't know how much struggle parents go through in the Western world. And I'm not a parent, thank God, because the challenges that the caring, the loving parent goes through to feed their child, right? To
Mm,
protect their child, right? In in the States we have school shootings. Just because you're at work, your kid is in the school doesn't mean they're safe,
yeah, yeah, it's
right?
really
So
tough. Yeah.
it is very tough. So for your beautiful soul to be here and choose to be more sensitive, take in more and have these realizations, right? Please know and trust that you're not a bad person if you have to eat milk or fish or anything, even meat to function, because maybe right now you need to teach at a different level, at a different vibration, so you receive differently, right? Because
Yeah, I hear
we
you.
can also sit here and say, oh, you may be neurotypical if you're obsessed with power, if you're obsessed with authority and
Sure.
control, you need to go on medication. You need help, right? The neurodivergent, right? We think differently because we value being honest, we value authenticity. We're labeled as being literal, but why are you guys masking?
Yeah, why are
Like
you
we are the
lying
ones that
then?
have to unmask, whereas you guys are the ones that don't say what you mean, right?
Yeah,
Why? And hey, it's a dream, no judgment, right? We're the dream and the dreamer. And this whole notion of duality, if we want to survive it, we have to rise above it and say it's neither good nor bad, right? And it doesn't mean if you eat meat today, right, that you're a different person. No, you're still the same
sure.
multi-dimensional person here, present to do a job, to help with
Yeah.
the process of ascension.
Yeah, I really hear you with that. And it is, I feel sometimes when I go, actually, yeah, I really want to eat meat. It could be that I'm also carrying, I mean, we could have an influence going on, but I do think it's because I'm grounding ever more back into my body. So I'm like, as we do that, because if obviously if we've had trauma, we kind of shoot out our body and then we have to come back and we kind of, to really live this life. Like when I did the ayahuasca with the shaman, like he said to me, oh, you really need to not eat milk. And even though I could see the wisdom, because he was like, in our tribes, like milk is for old people and young people, like the adults don't have it. But he's like, they're happy to, like, after we did the ceremonies over the weekend, they just had loads of meat. They had loads of chickens. They just were like, because that's not wrong for them. So that, I read an article years ago that the shaman was laughing at the yogi because one stream of beliefs on earth is, yes, we're going to meditate and we're going to just eat fruit, and then you've got the shamans going, yeah, well, I'm talking to cosmic beings, but I'm going to eat all my chicken. Who's right? There is no right or wrong, and that's the thing, isn't it? It's like we have to be honest in our wishes, desires, truths, and that journey, not because one desire one day is all of us, like you're saying. And I used to be, there was a short time, it wasn't long, because I've always trying to look at the other side. I was definitely on my high horse about trying, being vegetarian, like, why the fuck you want to eat meat? And then I'm like, okay, I started craving meat, and I was like, yeah, this is my soul going, don't get cocky. Like, I was quite superior, like I'd never really did white drugs, I was always having my weed. And then I ended up in a family where cocaine at Christmas dinner table was really fucking normal. And so I started snorting cocaine. And, I know I changed. Somebody said to me, like, God, your energy is really different. I'm not saying to go and do that. But when you look at our life journey as a soul, like you said, it's not about right or wrong, it's about learning. And every time we're in alignment, we'll always do the most honorable, we'll always try to make the right thing. And obviously, to me, when you look at someone like Jesus, he probably, I don't. I was going to say. Oh, he might have eaten meat. I don't think so, because I think they lived in their scenes, and I think they generally honoured animals and maybe ate had milk and maybe even had eggs, but generally a vegetable, plant-based diet. But they were supported by the Essenes. He wasn't. I'm sorry, I don't buy the story of the random two people and the couple. I do believe he was supported. And in that way, if I was supported to live my truth, I would have been vegetarian easier, and I would have been in my spiritual path easier because I would have felt support with my family. But we all have an individual journey, and that's what we have to take on, isn't it? One by one, day by day, challenge by
Yeah.
challenge, and come into our own alignment, come to our own decisions. So yeah, goodness me, Kevin. Did we miss anything
Yeah.
out? Because we just had this massive long chat, and I was like, "Oh my god, we need to share this with people." Because I forget, I have these conversations, and I go, oh, I can't
Yeah.
say that to normal people. They'll all tell me I'm crazy. Funnily enough.
Well, I mean, one of my special interests is theology. I was born Jewish in a Muslim
Okay.
country.
Yeah.
I studied both religions extensively until 2022, where I learned about Christ consciousness and accepted the love of Jesus into my heart. Because to me,
Mm,
it just like, that was the extension of Judaism that was omitted
amazing.
and censored.
Sure.
My own rabbi, when I was 19, showed us proof based on Jewish text that was censored for 400 years. And this is the first time I'm saying this on camera. This is an Orthodox rabbi who's head of the Kollel in Los Angeles. I will not mention his name because he probably wants to be anonymous. But I was 19 when he showed us a section of the Gemara, which was published after 400 years by accident, or I think it was time, right?
Yeah.
Where he translated for us from Aramaic that Jesus, Rabbi Yeshua, was a Jew, born a Jew, died a Jew, during the second temple. And then there was the complete lineage of his teachers, right? and and
Right.
and and i'm and so I was told about Jesus as an Orthodox Jew at age 19, but it
Mm,
took years later for me to understand, right, what the Christ consciousness was about, what the prophecies were about, right?
mm,
That he did come, right? And then Jews rejected him, and then
mm,
you have this evolution of other religions that came out of that. But and right now I'm more of actually practicing Hindu, right?
right.
So and I
Right.
was Buddhist for a while, right? Again, the journey is going for those experiences and incorporating fractal parts of yourself and humanity. And one thing I want to mention is, you talk about one of the most advanced spiritual concepts, um, which is knowing we are also not that innocent. We are not all, we are also capable of evil. Kevin Weiss sitting here is also capable of great evil, just like you, just like the other person. Recognizing that in yourself, right, which you very easily talk about, and I'm not sure if the average person understands, is a very advanced spiritual concept. This is why I say your book was ahead of its time, and it's finally the reason your content, your message is finally catching on, is because you, due to your past life, your experiences, your sensitivity, you understood this
Mm,
earlier than most people. You came
yeah.
here to do a job as a spiritual leader, right? So,
Mm,
yeah, it was not easy. Yeah, it's not going to be easy because it's always felt like going against the norm. But who
mm,
says the 9 to 5 matrix, this illusion that's created by the average person, right, is the right path? I mean, look at the results. Look at the this how we've destroyed the earth,
yeah.
how we've waged war on Mother Nature. We are the aliens on this planet, having waged war on nature because we feel like we don't fit in. So, so
Mm,
please recognize in how advanced and powerful your message is, because I know I can be sitting across the table from an Orthodox Jew or even a Christian or a Muslim or anybody, right? But these notions, these conversations won't happen. The reason this is a sacred space and these conversations are channeled and communicated like this is because we have safety.
Yeah. Yeah.
Caroline and Kevin have an agreement of safety where in the
Sure.
sanctity of this space, we talk
Sure.
freely, we speak who we are, we talk about the divine connection of the mother and the child. We
Yeah.
talk about, did you know that in the US at UCLA, nurses in the maternity department in 2022 by law were prevented from handing a child to a mommy and daddy using the word mom and dad, right? They were coached to use the term parent, not to be violent to the LGBTQ plus community. And all the due respect with the LGBTQ community, and I have a lot of friends. I've been of service. I love the community. They're some of the most amazing parents I've ever known. Right? The LGBTQ community like is not offended or feels it's violent to use the word mom and dad. The word mom and dad are the first words a child utters. They're sacred words. How
Mm.
dare we create a society where the sacred connection of a mother or a father and a child is considered violent to a minority group, which even says we are not minorities. Start putting us together, right?
Sure.
If you have any friends in the LGBTQ community and have agreements of safety and you listen to them, they're like, we're being used. The politics
Oh,
is
I
using
see. I
our
see.
sexuality, our gender to push agendas. And
Yeah.
this is why the
Yeah.
US is so divided right now, right?
I
And
got
we
you.
need to go back to the basic. We need to talk about a mother's milk and how important and sacred it is because we've lost it. And now because of AI, right? Where in the next year or two, maybe sooner, we won't be able to tell, oh, is that our president who just announced war on this country? Like
Yeah.
we won't be
Yeah.
able to tell. That's why discernment is important.
Yeah.
That's why, dear, you when you have your inner knowing, you go internally to the fifth dimension that
Mm.
is now here and accessible to some like you earlier than
Yeah.
others, right? That's why this is so important that these messages be recorded and shared for those who
Hmm.
want to access it, for those who want
Sure.
to feel they're not crazy,
Yeah.
right? For
Yeah.
those who are tired of being medicated and being told something is wrong with them, right?
Mm.
It wasn't until 2013 that DSM-4 admitted ADHD, right, which we all are ADHD now thanks to social media algorithms and scrolling, right,
Mm-hmm.
is a condition that changes your perception of your surrounding, that causes anxiety. Majority of Americans are on antidepressants. We have an opiate addiction crisis. We have Right now, we have a crisis where physician assisted suicide is doubling in growth because people are so anxious about that phase of their life, about getting older, about
Okay.
not having social support. So these conversations go beyond, right? A mom's milk. These are very
Sure.
highly advanced spiritual concepts, which I think we can talk about because, Caroline, you and I, for some reason, for better or worse, have that recognition that
Sure.
we are also capable of great evil, right?
Yeah.
But we may choose not to do so. That's why in the Bible, it says, the meek shall inherit the earth. Dr. Jordan Peterson says the word meek doesn't mean a soft person, a pushover, as the modern translation suggests. The word
Mm.
meek means somebody who has a sword on them, is capable of damage, but chooses not to draw the sword. See,
Yeah.
Caroline knows
Yeah.
that
I
that
really
she in
do.
another life was also capable of great evil, and you choose not to. But if you have to eat meat, to engage
Yeah.
a different demographic and level of vibration and understanding, by all means,
Yeah.
because the message to me is more important than the actual physicality of this
Yeah.
hologram or the way it's
I
presenting
really
itself.
get you there, Kevin, because I feel I remember once I stopped doing yoga and I was like, oh, I feel really crappy, and why am I not doing yoga? And the answer I got was because you got bored. Because when I did yoga, it was so clearing that it was almost like I feel really weird. Like if you've done a lot of meditating, you're just in this very zen space. But I had been quite judgmental of people that didn't do yoga. I was like, why would you not do yoga? It's amazing. And then when I
Mhm.
didn't, and how out of whack I would feel in the day, and how like weird I'd feel and achy and hurting, I was like, wow, okay, I get it. Because you know, we can up and down our frequency, and I'd obviously dropped so low that in that when I'm in that low frequency, I forget I speak light language, I forget I can talk to guys, I forget a lot of the parts of me that have existed in a higher frequency. And it's not like I'm better. We can all access these multiple dimensional aspects of ourselves. It's just for some reason, having done a lot of yoga and a lot of playing music and a lot of dancing, I access the higher realms, and my job is to ground, whereas some people it's to open up, isn't it? They're very grounded and they're opening.
Mhm.
And I would say the neurospicy thing is almost we're top heavy and we're not necessarily grounded because we have a wider paradigm. We're more in tune with a lot more frequency, and something in us likes that. And we're learning how to be on Earth and learning about the Earth realm, whereas people who are very more neurotypical, they're at home on Earth, and they're going to have to work out how to climb the consciousness
Yeah.
ladder. And there really is to me, if we were to summarize, and then we can go and have a regular session or do something, is when we're on one extreme, like all of my numerology, as you know, Kevin, is 8. And if you think of the infinity symbol on any theme, and there's one part of my teaching will be about that, is and I'm sure other people obviously know this as well, but you have to, if you're over here like, oh, I'm not going to eat meat, and you're judging the people over here, you're going to be brought up over here so you can understand it.
Yeah.
And that is like almost a very quick karmic turnaround. I call it karmic
Yeah.
slap. I've had a lot of them, because you're never going to
Yeah.
be centered if you're over here going heh, heh, heh. Yeah, if you've got a hard left, you're going to go hard right, and then you come back. So like, for example, if you've been homophobic in this life, sorry friends, you're probably going to come back and be gay, and you're going to really fucking
Yeah.
struggle, because you're going to go up into the other realms and go, oh shit, that wasn't very nice. Go on then. All right, let's see what it's like, and that's
Yeah.
what a lot of us will do. Like you say, you feel, you connect to your feminine energy. I connect to my masculine energy. And I feel
Yeah.
like when I was growing up, I really struggled wanting to be a female. I think I had a bit of a chip on my shoulder. One
Yeah.
aspect of my soul, or, another life, was like, women are idiots,
Yeah.
right? I'd just rather be my man, because you can be strong. But then
Yeah.
obviously bit by bit I'm like, oh, okay, I understand the feminine and the divine and
Yeah.
that other element. So we're that fluidity can be across all elements of life, right? Food, eating, breathing, sex,
Yeah.
everything. So
And
Kevin,
you
I
have two
love
eights in your chart. You have two
so
eights.
I have loads of eights. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
1 adds up to 8. And then, yeah, anyway, there's a whole other story. We should talk
Yeah.
about the numerology at some point, Kevin. We'll do a talk on that one
Yeah,
day.
absolutely. And Caroline, what I want to say, like that eight energy, the infinity, the karmic energy, right? We only can understand things in terms of contrast to each other, right? That's why Brahman,
Mm,
right, manifests as Atman, the divine consciousness as the self, right? In order to explore. And thank you
yes.
for doing that dance for everybody, because it's only through that contrast of tapping into your feminine as well as masculine that you grow above the duality, become a mature person, and can lead and guide others. There is a
Mm,
reason, and thank you for all that pain and suffering, because you didn't just do it for yourself, you did it for
yeah,
the collective.
sure.
and
And you,
and
Kevin, as well. And you, I feel like
Absolutely.
a
And don't be
lot of
discouraged, because
souls.
there's good
Yeah.
days, there's bad days. If any viewers, right, who like were told they're different, they're they can hang on to a 9 to 5 job, right? There is nothing wrong with you, right? I'm not saying medications are bad and are not needed. You may need it. There is no judgment, but we're talking when you rise above that need to even want to see doctors and say, hey, I just perceive the world differently. And some of the the greatest artists that change the world, right? How the greatest scientists that revolutionized things looked at things differently. Who
Mm.
are we as a society to say
Yeah,
one person's knowing is correct versus another person's, right?
yeah,
Like, I mean,
yeah,
didn't Jesus teach us to forget about the temple, the priest, and the middleman? Go, the temple is within. Go from within. And you were right. I agree with you that the Essenes not only were highly structured and organized and knowledgeable, but they also have money, right? But we in the spiritual community are, and even me as a businessman, like, are hesitant to talk about spirituality and money, right? Whereas money is the modern ways of exchanging energy, and it is changing. Look at what's happening with Epstein files. My gosh. I mean, how much darker can society get than a society where children are not safe, where the elite, right, violate, and the guru culture is collapsing? I mean, Deepak Chopra was one of my heroes, and I have no judgment. I don't know if the stuff that's being
yeah.
released is true or not, right? I give the guy the benefit of the doubt. I think we have to give everybody benefit of the doubt, but a lot of darkness is being exposed because even darkness is in service of the light.
Sure.
And I know people like you, Caroline, are just fed up with the current conditions, with this constant state of survival, and we want to rise above it and claim our right, which is our freedom as humans. And that's not possible without the divine connection of a mother and a child, and connecting to trees and animals, like we spoke in our last episode. You teaching about how to get in the flow, which I'm learning from you, right? And making micro adjustments, being flexible, being adaptable is a key skill in surviving in the next
In
few
this
years.
phase. It's so true, actually, Kevin. Maybe we should put that as a next topic because the being in flow and those micro shifts. Because
Yeah,
I do feel from from having quite an existential, philosophical kind of seer mentality. I was very much, I just don't even want to be involved with the world. It's just such a head fuck for me. And I just was
yeah.
grappling like, how the hell can I survive? Because I don't understand where my part is. Coaching
Yes.
has helped me problem solve those
Hmm.
aspects to go from being almost like an embodied someone that's lived some kind of Buddhistic nihilistic what am I going to say? Like the sadhu life on the edge of the Niles, just I'm going to smoke my chillum and just do my yoga, which has got its, as a soul, we will have been through almost every iteration of humanity to
Yeah.
taste and understand and have all those experiences or bring wisdom or whatever it is, and then come back in this life, so I actually have some purpose and can bring something, give back to the world from my soul
Yeah.
experiences. Yeah, coaching has helped me make those micro shifts. I go, okay, I used to think money's bad, if you're rich is bad. Well, actually internalizing that's because I've internalized in another life, I was rich, I was bad, so never be rich. Don't be,
Yeah.
just be a slave to everyone because you were fucking horrible when you had money. It's like, okay, maybe in this life I can have money, but be honoring everybody, be transparent, make sure I'm honoring people. And at some point, I'll actually be able to hold wealth in a financial way as much as just a wisdom or whatever way. And yeah, we're all learning, aren't we? We are all learning.
Yeah.
So
We're
let's
learning
talk
and
about
remembering.
and
And thank you for
remembering.
remembering, because
Yeah,
as you remember and you anchor, you naturally ask why, right? But it's so unpopular to ask why. Oh, neurodivergence ask why or ask questions. So they're
yeah,
not
yeah,
popular when it comes to relationships,
yeah,
friendships, or the
yeah,
work.
yeah,
But that why right? Like going back to that concept of why we drink so much milk, right? In an unconscious way, and it's in everything, right? And it's full of hormones, and it's not good for you. And we were lied to about like it being good for your bones, and in fact, it creates so much mucus in our bodies, dairy products, right?
Right. Right.
So much like autoimmune reactions. A lot of people struggle with gluten because of all the chemicals, right?
Yeah.
We can't
Yeah. Yeah.
we can live in an environment where humanity is poisoning our water, our food, our air, and then we say why we feel out of balance, or if you ask why, then you're the odd weird one.
Yeah.
No, we can ask why. It is safe to ask why. It is time to ask why. It is time to remember. And thank you for remembering. You may have remembered way too much, right? Like
Yeah,
about all,
it did feel
but
like
today,
that. It's
yeah.
funny you say that, Kevin, because I mean, it's why I write, and hopefully that process of writing and downloading and getting books out or whatever, it will become quicker because I feel like at some point, like I was literally streaming realms of it, reams of information, which we can all do. I'm not saying that I'm special in this at all. It's just that I had a wish to ask questions and I got the answers. I had a download of God, and as in like knowing that God was a thing, and then I reached, and that's the only difference between me and somebody else. And every time I would ask questions, I get more and more answers. So that's why I end up going, I need to share this. And in
Yeah.
Course in Miracles, will if anyone's read that, in the first few pages it will say about revelation, like revelation is what can change and bring a healing. A miracle is a revelation that shifts us from this point of view to this, back into oneness, unity, harmony, Christ mind. And but you do have to be careful because not all revelations will make sense to other people, and it really
Yeah.
literally kind of
Yeah.
almost gives a nod to, you might be thought you're crazy, because I
Yeah.
receive a revelation in a way that makes sense for me, and like Holy Spirit, God, Jesus, the higher beings know what we can receive because they know our history. So when I land a revelation, if I share it in a wrong way, people take it out of context. You can't say that. I'm like, well, for me, this makes sense, and it's because that's the revelation that I need to understand something for me. And the reason why we can talk is because we hold the space of allowing some revelation, but we also have quite a similar, we have shared understandings, which mean it's safe for us to have those revelations. So with other people, I might have quite a different state of revelation, but you allow that, and I'm so grateful, Kevin. It's really lovely to be
Thank
in your
you.
company for that. So
Thank you. And the reason Sananta Dharma like resonates with me at this stage of my life, right, is because I recognize your truth and I bow down to that the same way I bow
oh,
down to a tree, or not just other
mm,
humans, but any creation, because it's all Brahman, it's all one. That's
yeah,
what Jesus taught, right?
yeah,
That's what got distorted with Abrahamic religions, unfortunately. And a lot of people are going to be confused, right? As the guru culture collapses, like we realize all these celebrities were pedophiles, right? Like doing sacrificial practices and dark stuff. And if you choose to get bothered by that and not, instead of not judging it, not taking sides, and this is tough, right? Because how can you not take sides when it comes to pedophilia,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
But what if it's not our job to judge? It's our job to witness and say,
yeah,
this is great evil. Yes, we all are capable of that. This is great spirituality, positivity. This is light, right? And in the Bible, when we talk about the spirit, what is the spirit? By the way, if you want to confuse the Orthodox rabbi, ask him what is the spirit that hovered over the water in Bereshit, Genesis, right? They'll freeze because Judaism, in my opinion, got distorted by removing the idea of Trinity, right? And that created the male patriarchy, that created this masculine way of control, right? And now as we swing back to the divine feminine, like rising and teaching again, right? Like, you're not having these realizations for no reason, as as someone who chose a female body in this life, and you're here for a reason. There is a purpose, and right now, I think the lesson is not getting going crazy with what's being released, what's being disclosed. There's alien disclosures coming up, right? It just happened in US. Obama said yes, there's aliens, and now there's it is all designed to
It's all
drive you
going on.
mad and question your reality. It
Yeah,
is happening. It's the most exciting freaking time. We chose to reincarnate and
I know, man.
right?
It's a
So
cosmic
enjoy
party.
it.
We've just got to clear
Yeah.
it up. That I used to say that before I'd even really, encountered other people talking so much. Where it's like
Yeah.
we are the clean up crew, and it is not like what we've just said about the Epstein stuff. It's not to say people didn't suffer. Like I get it. Like I've had
Yeah.
my own issues with sexuality and kind of really kind of contorted sexual dynamics,
Same here. Yeah.
and it's not saying that my god it isn't hideous for the people that I've watched some of the documentaries. It's just like, oh, you just can't imagine feeling so threatened, by those people, and knowing they had so much money that they could find you. We just cannot comprehend the journey that those
Yeah.
women have been through, and sometimes maybe men and the children. But it's if we try to take that on,
Yeah.
that can swamp us. It's almost like praying for, say, with the violet flame, asking for the angels of the beings,
Yes.
of everyone involved, may healing come, may justice be done. Because if we, like I had this as a kid, I'd look at the world through the news and I'd be crying about the rainforest, crying about the elephants, crying about starving children. It was just like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god,
Yeah. Yeah.
la, 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 la. And bit by bit, what I feel like my prayers have happened is coming, bringing me from my slice of the pie. And it doesn't mean that if I couldn't just click and take it all away, I would.
Yeah.
But I I I want to say I can't, but that feels like that's actually a lie, right? Because we are full, creator beings. Our
Yeah.
our collective consciousness, it's almost co-creating slash allowing the experience of all of these textures, right? And when we are fully resolved inside, we're not. I'm going to stop because it feels, this is, we all have a journey with what we're seeing in
Yeah.
the outside world, and it's not for us to say do all this or don't do that. I just know
Yeah.
my brain skitzes if I'm only thinking of all of the world and trying to
Mhm.
think, what can I do about this, what can I do about this, oh my god, and then the guilt, and then I can't function. I mean, that's why I think I just zenned out
Yeah.
on weed for 10 years,
And the
and it just became I can't function. And it's like, okay, show me what I can do today, show me what it is for me to do today, show me how I can best use my skills, my understanding, my experience to help this person. Can I answer the
yes.
phone to somebody that needs to talk for a bit? Yes, I can. Okay, that's one thing I can do.
Yeah.
Not, oh my god, take it on and just be
Yeah.
flattened, because it's too
Yeah.
much for our human mind, I think. So
Yes, yes. The responsible thing, right, is to give it love. Like I used to be, I mean, I'm an advocate of children, right? Now, instead of saying, oh, crimes against humanity, I say, I do hashtags, right? Children are safe on this timeline. We have to start believing on the timelines that we're choosing. Children are safe, loved, and protected. So giving the darkness love, because the collective, this being a dream, the Maya, the collective is choosing to experience this darkness and this bipolar, this
sure.
extreme polarity, because more people need to wake up. Not
Yeah, I
everybody
get
will
you.
wake up. Is it dark? Yes. Is it jarring? Yes. But you cannot let it bring you down. You have to stay grounded, even if it means eating meat, even if it means, right, like sort of uh, putting content in the darkness, that's like mostly AI generated content now, because that authenticity, right? This conversation, we're not asking for followers, subscribers. No, this is just anchoring vibrations. This is a spiritual project, because once this is uploaded on YouTube and your platforms, it creates a space where these conversations happen in a safety of and sacredness of two creators, two gods, you and
Yeah.
I, holding space and watching this reality unfold.
Yeah.
It's neither good nor bad. Yes, it is a shame what's happened to these children, and there's crimes against humanity. People are going to be on trial, but giving it love and knowing that children are safe now.
Yeah, it's the tides are turning, aren't they? That's the point of it.
Oh
It's
yeah,
coming
last
out so it can be healed, and that healing can happen. I feel like saying, shall we end with a prayer for
yes,
this time? Because
yes,
I
yes,
feel like it's contentious, and yeah,
yes,
what can we do? I would say,
yes.
if you've watched this, I had to put last week up actually in response to somebody saying, okay, my commitment of my thing I could do is give a free session every week to somebody that's been affected by any kind of abuse in their life, because yeah, people
Mhm.
need space holding. So if you want that, do reach out. But I'm just going to say I give great thanks for our high selves, guides, and angels to send out a wave of love, healing, divine love, divine justice, divine truth, divine alchemy, divine illumination for all beings on earth at this time, calling forth the violet flame, the silver violet ray and flame, so that we purify the heavy energies that are coming out, and especially because we've got a retrograde coming up, and we've got that we're probably in still the eclipses, sorry. So we're just asking that everyone is held in the light, that soul parts can come back to rightful places, that everyone is supported on their journey to peace, to love, to harmony, that those souls that are walking very challenging paths are supported, and they remember the truth inside them, their divine light, and find and seek and ask for that assistance on the inner world that will bring it about in the outer world for them. May all beings receive the help, the abundance, the love, the joy, the happiness, the fulfillment that they need and ask for. May they remember to ask for it. And may we, who are the onlookers, have mercy in all the ways, because it is challenging at this time to maybe stay centered in our own heart, our own I am presence, asking our higher self, what can we do right now? What is for me to do? Not killing ourselves trying to save everyone if it is not for us to do, asking for something that is manageable, that is doable, that is within our reach, that we can take those steps with ease and grace, so that all beings on earth are honored in their journey, in their pathway, in what is right for them, not because everyone is saying this or everyone is saying that, but because they're in their highest light and they're anchoring the authentic honest truth for them at this time. May that happen with ease and grace for all involved. Thank you, thank you, thank you, and so it is.
So be it, so be it.
Hmm. Hmm. Mm, 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 mm. Oh, I'm going to say thank you for tuning in.
You.
Sorry, I keep having this reflection in my glasses. I need to find another way of doing this. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you for giving me the space to have remember some of the revelations, certainly about the food and the milk and that intuition. If you're really interested in intuitive eating, I really highly recommend checking out Lainey Savante Walken and her Centre for Intuitive Food Therapy. She's incredible. She's got a book on intuitive eating, and she's got a card deck with all different food and the words of the food. It's
Mhm.
amazing. But yeah, more to come on that, and we'll see you on another episode soon. Take care, guys. See you soon. Bye 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 bye
So
bye.